my fellow Book Stack Book Club members, we had to do a redo because my phone just turned off for no reason. Anywho, today I just wanted to go over one of our quick weekly reviews, which was for a book that I read and then also watched on TV. It was on Netflix, and the book is by J.D. Vance. It's called Hillbilly Elegy. This book is a memoir of a young man who grew up in the Appalachian Mountains in the Midwest. I believe it was Kansas. And the story was so interesting because we are all quick to judge that someone's in a certain category and that it's mutually exclusive, that they can't have other attributes. So let me explain. That if you're a hillbilly, then you must not have any integrity. And by hillbilly, I mean you are super duper poor, you live in the mountains, you really, I don't even know how to explain it. Just, don't have very many, like, what we would consider manners, wouldn't know how to use the silverware on the table, don't know, I never had sparkling water versus regular water. Like, these are all things that would never have had, right? And never had that exposure to a large city, higher education, things like that. So a lot of times people are quick to like slap a label on that. And what I found so interesting was how JD was so proud of his family's integrity, even if it came across as, hey, I'm gonna beat your ass. But his family had certain integrity and boundaries that were so hard and fast. And that was very endearing and very admirable of his family. While at the same time, if you had thrown them into a gala, they could never ever function. I had some resistance in reading this book, mainly because I come from Arkansas. That's where I was born and raised, and my grandparents lived in the Boot Hill of Missouri. And so I know and understand what he was talking about. However, I decided to leave as soon as I could possibly leave, which was when I was 17, and I had a full ride scholarship. He did a very similar thing. He left, and then he went on to have a full ride scholarship at Yale. And he also talked about, what I found interesting was that the movie was more about this like success story where this like sort of risen out of the ashes of poverty. However, the book was making more of a social commentary on how the government cannot affect major change because they're not dealing with the culture that exists within certain communities, including his community. So I think what was definitely skipped over was that there's no solving a problem, that when the government steps in to help with poverty and things like that, they're helping essentially, and it says this in the book, they're helping that thin line of people that's between major poverty and lack of access to major education, good education. It's like that thin line of people right there. It's not these people. There's no saving them. It's the people that are on that thin line between making the difference between one to the next. So I found that very interesting that they skipped over that in Netflix, seeing how Netflix can be so controversial. And I think it is a controversial statement considering that so much of our rhetoric in this last year has been about Black Lives Matter, poverty and minorities, and this is a book about white people in poverty in the middle of the United States. So I think it's worth the read. It was difficult for me to get through because of my own personal experience, but I would definitely read the book as to just absorb the movie. There's just so much more in here. And just what I did learn was just because you have resistance to a book doesn't mean that the book isn't good. And it doesn't mean that, and it might say something about you. So thanks so much for joining me today, and I hope you can let me know what you think of the Hillbilly Elegy, and yeah, let's talk about it. So let's get your book stacks built up. I want to see them, share them with us, and we will talk to you soon. Thanks.